2017 Nissan Altima. We're doing rear pads here. We're doing the front too, but I'm going to do that in a separate video. So I've already pulled the wheel off. If you don't know about jacking it up, this is the jack that I'm using here. You can use pretty much any jack, but you see this rail? This is where you want to jack it up. You see where my jack is? And then my jack stand is right there. So it's on that lip. If it's rusted out real bad, then you may not want to use that. And you might want to jack it up right up under the wheel, under the lower control arm. Put your jack up under here. So jack it up. The jack actually is very loose. So I loosened it and all the weight is on the jack stand. I got both wheels up in the air. And if you were to do it like this, make sure you chock the front wheels. All right, so here's our tools. We just have a 3/8 ratchet with a 14mm socket, a flathead. You don't even need this, honestly. You probably can get away without using this, but I'll show you how I'm going to use it here. And then this is a 4-inch C-clamp. The reason I have this flathead here is to take a little bit of pressure off of these pads in this caliper. So squeeze here. All right, you see what I'm doing? You see that bit of movement? Okay, now look at that. All right, so that's all I was doing, was taking a little bit of pressure off of it. Now, if you want to be real clever, you can get your screwdriver in here. If you got a fatter flathead than this might not work, but I'm going to try this one anyways. So I just pushed it all the way in. So that's the cylinder that comes out that we're going to have to close with our C-clamp. Let me get these two bolts out. I'm going to try to put the pads on in the state that it's in, meaning that I've already collapsed or closed the cylinder. Okay, and we just have two bolts to take out. So one at the top here and one here. So I've already broken it loose, and they take a little bit of force, but they're not on there very tight. I don't know what the specs are. So just gonna wind that out real quick. Bottom one, same thing. These pins are gonna come all the way loose of the caliper. These, we're pulling it all the way out. So top one's loose, top one's out. All right, so you wanna inspect these. You wanna put a little bit of silicone grease on there if they're real dry. All right, so here we go. We're pulling this. Now you see how I collapsed that? Now if you look from this angle, you can see it's pretty much closed. Now I'm almost positive I'm going to get these pads on here without a problem. So all we're doing is just removing the pads. You want to have your flathead handy. You don't have to have it, but pop one end out the bottom maybe, or the top. Same thing on this one here. And boom, they slide right out. All right, so we have brake hardware here and here. You want to replace the hardware, do it, but just make sure you inspect this and see exactly how they are before you put the other ones in, because I'm not removing these. We don't have hardware here. Another thing you could do is put lube on them. People show you that, but I'm not doing that. I'm showing you exactly what I do. If it was in a condition where I was concerned about it making noise, I would lube it up. What do we do next? We just grab our pads. Be careful when you're pulling your pads off. See which one has this tab on it. See that? That's the indicator, the wear indicator. It's almost always going to be on the back. This was the back pad. So if you're replacing both sides and you don't know which one goes where, just be careful when you're pulling it off to see which one has the indicator in which position. Because the opposite side, the indicator is going to be on this side of the pad. But you may not know which side is you're supposed to use in which direction until you get it off. Sometimes they're faced up at the top, and I just replace it however they're put in there. So if the last mechanic did it that way, that's how I'm doing it. But in this case, the wear indicator is at the bottom and on the inside, and that's usually where they are in most vehicles. We got our new pad here, so we just put it in. You got a little bit of a spot down here, and I can't film this very well, but I'm gonna try. But all I'm doing is getting the bottom part in first, and then getting the top part in. Anyways, you see that? So it's boom, now the pad's in. So same on this side. So this side you can see better. So look, you see the notch where it goes? So I'm gonna turn it sideways. Turn this one sideways, and as I'm putting it in, wiggle it and get it, that slides right in. Sometimes you might want to start the bottom one before you get the other one in. It just depends on the angle and the setup. But this one, you see how easy that went in? So now all we're going to do is to see if our caliper slides right back over it. Boom, it does. So we didn't even need to use the C-clamp. You may just want to use a screwdriver if you can. If you can get away with doing it like that, do it like that. But you do it however you want. But I just showed you the most simplest method. I'm going to put these two bolts back in, get them real nice and snug, Then put this wheel back on. We got the lug nuts that come off here. That's a 22mm socket for those. So throw this wheel back on here and we're basically done. I've already done the other side. So last but not least, before you start the job, you may want to open the hood and open up the reservoir for your brake fluid. Take the cap off maybe, or loosen it. I take it off because I don't want to forget. All right, so that wraps it up for this one. I'm gonna put this wheel back on. Like I said, 22mm. We're torquing this down to 80 pounds. If you don't have a torque wrench, don't worry about it. Just get them nice and snug.